We have a mock draft alert, and this is the debut of Mike Tannenbaum's mock draft. And to be clear, these are the picks he would make if he were making the decisions. He would take Trevor Lawrence number 1, and he would, as they are expected to, take Zach Wilson number 2 overall with the Jets. He, if he were sitting where San Francisco is sitting, would take Mac Jones from Alabama at number 3, the quarterback, to go to the 49ers. And then at number 4, again, if he were making the decision with Atlanta, he would select Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. So that would mean 4 consecutive quarterbacks going. Again, that's never happened before. And then the big surprise in Mike's mock is that despite the trade for Sam Darnold yesterday, Mike T, if he were Carolina, would still take Justin Fields at number 8 overall. Let me give you just a little look. Once again, I repeat, these are the picks that Mike would make. He's not trying to tell you what he thinks they will do. And so you see at 5, he's got Cincinnati protecting the blind side of their young quarterback and all those offensive weapons. So many things in this I want to get into. The first of them, Mel Kiper, again, as one who has analyzed this as carefully as anyone, is the decision that Mike is saying he would take Mac Jones ahead of Lance or Fields at number 3. That seems to be the consensus of most of the people we hear from, Mel. What do you think of that pick?
No problem with it. I think Mac Jones, the year he had with the intelligence level he has, the competitiveness, the accuracy to all levels, if they feel he's the best quarterback for their offense, I have no issue with Mac Jones going ahead of Trey Lance, who had that 1 year at the 1AA level, only 17 career starts. And, of course, Justin Fields would be my pick, but it's not about what I would do or Mike would do or anybody would do. It's about what they want. And Mac Jones's grade, while it's not way up there in the stratosphere for me, it's high enough if they feel he's the right guy based on what he did this year at Alabama with all that talent around him. And I will say, as we said, once Jalen Waddle got hurt, it was Devontae Smith only, and Devontae still lit it up, and Mac Jones still lit it up. And he didn't have his center for the final 2 games with Landon Dickerson, and he still had a phenomenal game or 2. So I think you look at Mac Jones, I think it makes sense for a lot of levels why the 49ers would make him the 3rd pick overall.
And if that is the way that it goes, and most of the projections we've seen see it that way, Booger, then it will be very interesting. At maybe we could say the draft kind of starts at number 4 with the Falcons, who still have Matt Ryan there. If they decide to go quarterback there rather than going, I'm just throwing names out there, Kyle Pitts, dynamic receiving weapon out of Florida, or Jamar Chase, or something like that. What would you think of the decision for the Falcons to take the quarterback at 4?
You know, I'd agree. I don't mind the Falcons taking a quarterback at 4. If Justin Fields is on the board and Trey Lance also, I think they'd be a fool to take Lance over Fields. I think if you look at Lance, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. It's just going to take him longer to get to the point that where Justin Fields is right now. So you're right. The draft starts at 4. If quarterbacks are going to go 1, 2, 3. At 4, what does Atlanta decide to do? Do you keep Matt Ryan and then pair him with one of these great pass catchers? Because presumably at 5, since he's going to take the tackle, so you could have a situation where Justin Fields or Trey Lance is sitting there at 8 when Carolina picks. I would put Justin Fields at number 4. Somebody may trade up to get him at 4. I just don't think Atlanta. If you're Atlanta and you're sitting there, you don't have a guy who is 45 years old and Matt Ryan. I still think Matt Ryan has good football left in him. If I'm Atlanta at 4, I would take Kyle Pitts, put him with Matt Ryan, and build my team out and see if we can win over the next 3 or 4 years. Then that leaves a situation where Fields is there, as Tannenbaum has it projected in his draft at number 8. So now, if you're Carolina, what do you do at that point at number 8?
So we're playing these things out, all these scenarios based upon how they may go. Mike Tannenbaum, I'm going to throw this back at you. I just have a feeling, and I base it on nothing more than a feeling, that San Francisco came up there to take Trey Lance, not to take Mac Jones. They have Jimmy Garoppolo. They could keep Garoppolo there for at least a year. That is literally the Kansas City model exactly. Have Garoppolo play until Lance, who everyone says needs time to develop, is ready to go. And then everyone is telling me, all of you, Mel and everyone I talk to, says Lance has the upside that no one else in this draft has. So I'm here to tell you I think that's what San Francisco is going to do. What do you think of that, Tannenbaum?
I think there's some logic to it, and you're crazy, and here's why. As a general manager, I was criticized for taking big chances, but let me tell you something. If the San Francisco 49ers trade 3 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick for a player that played in 1 game this year, we are talking about historic risk-taking by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. That would be unbelievable, Greeny. I love Trey Lance. I am going 4. But you're going to give up 3 1s and a 3rd for a guy that played 1 game this year, and it wasn't even at the highest level of football. I think that would be unbelievable.
Mel, you will be sitting next to me when this happens, whatever it is San Francisco does. If they take Trey Lance instead of Mac Jones, and I turn to you and say, Mel, what will you say?
I would disagree with the move. I have Mac Jones ahead of Trey Lance. Greeny. Trey Lance is the most fascinating player I've evaluated in 43 years. Why? Because, as Mike Tannenbaum said, the body of work at the 1AA level. I talked about only 23 pass attempts in 14 of the 17 starts. Below 57% in 5 games against 1AA competition. I would take Mac Jones over Trey Lance. Trey Lance is my 5th highest rated quarterback in this draft.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.